It's your boy, Amreezy, and I'm back with another Road to Sorare Boss episode where we follow my journey in the wonderful world of Sorare. And it's been a fun week. We've got the Champions League come back, so we had some in-season Champions League fun to play with during the midweek for the first time this season. Didn't score that well, I'll show you that in a bit, but you know, it was fun building those Champions League lineups. The weekend before, hit my hot streak. I'll show you how I hit my hot streaks. That was in the hot streak 2. So now we're in the dizzy heights of hot streak 3. Dizzy, it's dizzy. I've never been this far in the hot streaks. And it's a really tricky weekend. I'll go into at the end of the video. I'll show you my lineups for the coming weekend. And you'll see that it's a really tricky week for the Premier League, calling the fixtures. We'll talk about that more later. I'll show you my lineups. I also did a little bit of crafting yesterday. Or was it the day before? Maybe the day before. And I'll show you who I crafted. And we'll talk all good things Sorare. On Monday, I did a fantasy football episode with Royal Ivy. If you've not seen that episode, it's on the channel. Go check that out. It was a great chat with him. Talked all things Sorare. Reviewed the Premier League weekend. Next Monday, we're going to have Kev Hurd on the show. So stay tuned to that. Fantasy football next Monday with the amazing Kev. And yeah, I'm loving Sorare. I'm enjoying Sorare. I'm playing within my means. I hope you're playing within your means too, having fun. And remember, hitting Hot Streak 3 for me, that's really great. Other people out there, sure, they've hit Hot Streak 4. Some people might be going for 5 this week. Remember, this is your weekly reminder. Never compare your game to other people's. Have fun. If you're having fun with Sorare, regardless of how much you're playing with, what leagues you're in, you're winning. You are winning. You're only losing if you're spending more than you can afford. You're chasing things that, you know, you got that rush to chase. Don't do that. Have fun. Right. Speaking of having fun, let's look at how I did last weekend in the hot streak hitting wonderful world of Sorare. Right then, gang, here we are. This is how I did last weekend, which was game week 9. Entered the Sorare Championship with this lineup, and Aged was the first player to play. So these 4 cards all played later. So I started off with a 100 score, and I was thinking, right, it's time to start booking my trip. It's time to start looking at travel sites. Time to start working out how I'm going to get to the El Clasico, how I'm going to win those tickets. It's time to start sorting out my travel plans, seeing, you know, hotels in Barcelona. I was mentally there. And then these 4 happened, and obviously I went back to, keep it as a throwaway lineup. So Championship, not so great. Premier League in season. So we needed to hit 380 points for streak number 2. We hit it with these 2 lineups, which was nice. We hit this one fairly early. I think they were all the 3 p.m. games, or even earlier than 3 p.m. games on the Saturday. So I had the kind of luxury of being able to watch the Chelsea game later without stressing that I needed that to hit the streak. So we hit the streak with this one, which was a surprise, especially considering Grealish and Shrewsbury Hall didn't even score that well. They didn't really do anything. Both got yellow cards, but got enough of a score, and the defense did their part. Gabriel, quality card. Evan Nielsen did his bit. Henderson, great goalkeeper. So yeah, we hit the streak with this one. Then the second lineup, Beto didn't play well, but again, these guys all did well. It's Jack Grealish season, it's João Pedro season, it's Spurs defensive season. I've got a whole bunch of Spurs cards, and I really like their defense. I was watching them in this game, impressed. I was watching them in midweek against Villarreal, impressed. Not so much attacking wise, but defensively, I like Spurs. I wish I'd gone for Van de Ven instead of Solanke. I wish I'd gone for Van de Ven instead of Palinha. I wish I'd, gone for Van de Ven when at the beginning of the season when he was a bit cheaper. I went for Porro, but I should have gone for 2. I just never expected Thomas Frank to sort their defense out this quickly, but he has. They were so much more solid. So this lineup did well. The Chelsea lineup let me down, but I always knew this one was going to be a risk with South American players coming back from international duty. In the end, Estevao didn't even come off the bench, had a slight illness apparently, which, how can you predict that? How can you predict an illness to Estevao? So yeah, this lineup let me down, but it's okay. We didn't need it as much. None of them got relegated, so they stay in Division 2. Two Division 1 lineups, which is very nice for the Premier League. And then Aston Villa still cannot score a football goal. So Watkins and Rodgers, the the pain continues with them. But we got to keep going. We got to keep going. The values have plummeted. We're not going to sell them. They've got Sunderland at the weekend. So once again, we're going to be rolling out Watkins and Rodgers, hoping they eventually score a goal. And yeah, Paulinia, good score here. And Chelsea, very disappointing against Brentford. Disappointing game, but I think Maresca likes a rotation. And after international breaks, the urge to rotate is so strong that it's always going to be the case. So that's how we did with Premier League in season. We didn't build a La Liga in season lineup. And I'm saying this because the cards that I've been buying since last week's video have been La Liga in season cards because I want to play La Liga in season. My two favorite leagues to play are Premier League in season and La Liga in season. And this week I couldn't play a La Liga in season lineup because my one midfielder is injured, Thiago Almada. And my one goalkeeper is Radu from Celta Vigo. Isn't that great? So we've addressed those problems. I'll show you the new cards that I've been bringing in a bit. But we couldn't play a La Liga in season. Champion, we went for Everton here. Didn't do that great. Arsenal won, but Declan Rice didn't start. So a low score from him. Caicedo wasted a score in this lineup. Crystal Palace did keep a clean sheet against Sunderland, but didn't score that great, annoyingly. Barcelona, we played Barcelona roulette. We won 500 essence from it, so it kind of paid off. But Rafinha didn't start. Olmo didn't start. So, yeah, he still did well, Rafinha. Didn't start, but scored twice. We'll take that. And Olmo didn't start, but got an assist. So, yeah, we're happy with that. Casado was a good pick. 500 essence, not too bad. Not too bad. This lineup, Mateta, again, no, I just really thought Crystal Palace would do well against Sunderland, and they didn't. So I think we were talking about it on Monday's show with Royal Ivy, how Crystal Palace attack just aren't gelling. They lost Eze, Sarr injured, and they're just struggling to really find out who's going to be the Eze replacement, who's going to gel in the attack. And I think Mateta is suffering from that. So I'm going to bear that in mind now the next few weeks when I see Crystal Palace have a good fixture. Just bear that in mind. Back them, I think, defensively with Henderson, the defenders. But going forward, I just don't think Mateta is that exciting of an option as he used to be last season. Until Sarr comes back and they work out, maybe Pino needs a bit of time to settle in. They need to work out who's going to be the Eze replacement. But for now, they don't know who it is. Kudos, a bit of a disappointing score. I think he was slightly affected by going back to West Ham, getting booed by the fans. His confidence wasn't quite there. But, you know, I think Kudos is still a quality player and the best Spurs attacker. So, yeah, a disappointing game from him there. Conor Gallagher thought he'd play in Thiago Almada's absence, didn't play. So this lineup didn't do that well. This lineup, yeah, Teze. Again, Monaco is really hard to predict again. Monaco, we went through this last season with Monaco. They just go through these periods where they're just so hard to predict what the manager's going to do. So Teze didn't play. Seems like he's going to play the Champions League. Let's see what happens in the league. So Monaco is super hard to predict again. And then everyone else let me down. Kubo not starting for Sociedad. We did expect that, which is why, again, we didn't make a La Liga lineup this week because this was predicted. So we chucked him in this lineup and we got relegated. So thanks for nothing, guys. All-Star, we got a promotion. No, this is under 23s. We got a promotion and 100 essence from this under 23 lineup, which was quite nice considering Malo Gusto didn't play. We did think Reece James wouldn't play for Chelsea after playing twice for England, and that was the case. However, Fofana played at right back. How was I to know that? So this could have been a nicer lineup, maybe won some more essence if Malo Gusto had played. But hey, the rest of the boys did well. We've got a few good scores here. Lopez, 100. Kaminsky, 63. Boubacar Kamara, 79. So we do still have some under 23 cards that are cooking. We've got some good under 23 cards here. We just need to put them in the same lineup one week. So I'm going to be taking under 23 lineup. Now that it's in Division 2, at the weekend, I'm taking the under 23 lineup a bit more seriously again to try and get it in Division 1 and keep having fun with the under 23s. All-Star, did we win anything? Not really. 100 essence in this lineup, but nothing really to report about in the rest of the lineups. Good score from Villabre. We did say he was going to do well. We captained him. Terrible scores all around. James Garner, good score. Guzman Tigres, goalkeeper, good score. But too many players either not playing or just giving average scores. A rare score. below 50 for Sergio Dominguez. So you know that the world of All-Star is not quite right when Sergio Dominguez is not smashing a 50-plus score. Penalty given away and a yellow card for Nathan Silva. Yeah, wasn't the best week outside of Premier League in season, but that's okay because that's my favorite league and that's where I had my streaks and that's what won me $20 from Premier League in season. $20 and 1,000 essence. So two 500 essences, $20, 1,000 essence, which allowed me to craft another card. And let's go there next. Let's see who the card I crafted was. I crafted 2 cards actually because I had a bit of essence from the other lineups and essence in the bank. And I crafted my cards on Tuesday. I'm recording this on Thursday. I crafted my essence on Tuesday. Let's see who I crafted. Okay, it's half time in the Tottenham v Villarreal game. I've just bought the Villarreal goalkeeper before kickoff. I bought him for a little bit cheaper in auction because, you know, nobody wants to buy him right now because they missed the Champions League deadline. So I thought I'm being smart, get him at auction before kickoff for the next La Liga weekend when his price is a little bit low. He scores an own goal after 4 minutes. So I probably could have got him cheaper after the game now that he's going to have a horrible score. So I'm feeling a little bit down on myself. It's half time in the Tottenham game. I'm thinking, what can I do? 15 minutes to spare. Let's craft. I just had a feeling. I went on Twitter and I saw someone with a crafting post and I saw that as a sign. You should craft too, Amreezy. The Sorare gods are with you. Now is the time to do it. Go craft now. Cheer yourself up after that Lewis Jr. own goal. And maybe I'll get something good. So, essence-wise, now I've got my Premier League prizes from the weekend where I hit streak number 2, but I got 2,000 essence, I think. No, 1,000 essence. I've got almost 3,000 now, so we can craft 2 cards. So I've got a good chance of Premier League essence now because we got a lot of Premier League essence at the weekend, which is another reason why I want to craft before this gets filled with all-star nonsense and champion nonsense. So let's get cooking. Come on. I've never had a star room. I've still never had a star room. I don't think I'm going to waste a clue on a standard room. My theory, unlike everyone else seems to go for pick number 7. I like to go for the first one or the last one. So let's go for... Where did the mouth... Oh, we didn't really go. Let's go for this one. Last pick. Come on. Ben Davies. I've already got Ben Davies. 7 was probably better. 7 was probably the best one. So, well done, everyone who goes for 7. Luca Digne would have actually been a bit useful because I've got Maatsen at Villa. So it would have been good to actually get the left back who plays. 2 Ben Davies cards. I've got 2 Ben Davies cards now. Oh, well. Helps with the Spurs collection. And 1 for the vault. Welcome to the vault, Ben Davies. I'll probably try and sell one, actually. Come on. Give me something good. Give me something good. Oh, a special tier 2. Okay, so we want to make sure we get Premier League or La Liga. They're the 2 leagues that we play. So the last pick didn't work for me that time. I'm tempted to either go first Premier League one or La Liga. I am slowly building a bit of a La Liga lineup at the moment. And there's 1 La Liga option. I think I can't resist going for the first one. Come on. I need something. If it's Ben Davies again, I'm going to be livid. Kerkez, not too shabby at all. I will take that. I will definitely take that. Starting left back for Liverpool. Yes, please. Oh, Matt Sells. That would have been fun. In-season Premier League goalkeeper would have been glorious. Paulinho I've already got. Morgan Rogers I've already got. Don't fall for that one, people. Minte would have been I would have gone first or last pick because that's how your boy goes. I'm happy with Kerkez. I'm guessing he's got a good resale value as well. I'm cheered up. I'm glad I did a little half-time crafting now. I've got a Kerkez. 21 years old, under 23 defender for Liverpool. Yeah, I'm not too. I don't mind that. I don't mind that. He's not going to be here. Let's see how much a Kerkez is going for. Kerkez. I mean, he's not had the best of starts at Liverpool. £16. Glorious. Glorious. Yep, we'll take that. I'm going to keep him because he's had a bit of a rough start to his life at Liverpool, but I think he's the #1 left back. He'll get going eventually. Shame I didn't do this before the Champions League fixtures. I could have shoved him in a lineup. But yes, sure, we got a Ben Davies again, but we got a Kirkes. Good crafting session. So after that crafting and that sort of interesting Kirkes pick, obviously I'm happy with him. I could have crafted a way worse Premier League card than Kirkes. However, he didn't play in the Champions League against Atletico Madrid yesterday for Liverpool. And when I was building my lineups, he's now a 40% chance to start. I do think he probably still Liverpool's #1 left back, and I'm going to go against all of the Sorare predictions telling me he's not going to play at the weekend, because I do still think if the manager's sensible, he's going to build that left back slot around Kirkes. They bought him in for a reason. He should be the #1 left back. And I just think maybe Robertson comes in for those big Champions League nights with his added experience. I think he suited the Atletico Madrid game better than Kirkes. And Kirkes can go back to playing in the league. Although it is against Everton, it's a Merseyside derby. So maybe that's another big game and Robertson plays that. But I just think Robertson, he's getting on a bit. I think the reason they signed Kirkes is because Robertson can't play every week now. So I'm happy to hold on to Kirkes. I don't want to sell him because I do think his price has come down lately because people are kind of thinking, is he going to stay in the team? Is Robertson the #1 left back now? I just think Kirkes will get back in that team, and there'll be a time when he looks like the #1 Liverpool left back, and I can either sell him then or just play him. He's a great card to play, a little bit like how I've got Gabriel at Arsenal as like a one-off card from the big team. I'd love for Kirkes to nail down the left back slot, improve his performances, settle in at the club, and then I've got a solid Liverpool defender. So I'm happy with that craft, and I'm keeping him. I'm trying to sell the Ben Davies craft. If anybody wants him, I might have to lower that price, but yeah, Ben Davies needs to go. The cards I've brought in since last week have been heavily La Liga in season. So the last card I showed you that I bought last week was Jesus Garza to help with my Tigres collection. And, he's a fairly young Tigres player, so why wouldn't I want him? I got Elix Moriba. I'm a big FM fan, so he's a FM legend. His scores have been good. 22 years old, good card for the future. So he comes in as a kind of midfield alternative. So I don't only have one midfielder in La Liga now. I then got another Sociedad striker to go along with Take Kubo, and he's a bit more nailed on to give you a better score, I think, than Take Kubo. If you look at his scores lately, they're great. He's still, he plays for Spain, Spanish international. So yeah, I like his scores. I like that I can pair him with Take Kubo now. So I've got a double up on the Sociedad attack. I've also got a Sociedad defender in Aramburu, but his pants not been great, so he's probably going to be more for a collection piece now. So we've got two Sociedad strikers to play with. Then I've started building a Villarreal stack. I just really like the Villarreal team. I know they didn't have a good game in the league against Atletico Madrid, but that's Atletico Madrid. And they didn't do well against Tottenham, but Tottenham were really well defensively set up in that game, frustrated Villarreal. And the goal, I just feel like was a fluke. I think on another day, Villarreal could have drawn that. They did have chances. They're very attacking, Villarreal. That's why I like them. That's why I want to build a La Liga in-season stack around Villarreal. I just think there's a perfect stack there. Sometimes I just look at a team on Sorare and I just see the perfect stack where there's high-scoring defenders, even if they concede goals, there's high-scoring defenders. There's a forward who plays on the wing in midfield in Pepe. There's another midfielder who gets attacking scores who plays on the other wing in Buchanan, so I got him as well. And there's a goalkeeper who, he's not the highest scoring goalkeeper in La Liga, but you don't have to pay the 50, 60, 70 pounds you would for like Oblak, Courtois, the big scorers. And I think Luis Jr., now what's annoying about Luis Jr. is I bought him 1 hour before the Tottenham Villarreal game because I was trying to get him before that game because I wanted to make a Champions League lineup with some Villarreal players. I got Cardona in before the Champions League deadline and I just couldn't get a Luis Jr. He just kept going for like £40. I was trying to get him like 35 to high 30s. I didn't want to pay £40 because I just knew after the Champions League deadline dropped, his price would drop. So I got him 1 hour before the game when the Champions League deadline had passed, and I thought, oh yeah, it's great because no one's going to be trying to buy him now. If he has a good game against Spurs, his value is going to go up again ahead of the weekend's game. I can get him, and I got him for £33. And when I got him, I was like, oh yes, I got him for way lower than I was bidding for in the auctions before the Champions League deadline. I'll sacrifice not having him for one Champions League game week. I'll have him for the next weekend coming up in La Liga. And he has a disastrous game, an absolute howler of a mistake, a 20 score against Spurs. His price is now, I don't even want to look. I don't even want to look, but I am going to look. Oh, he's now going for like £29, £27, £20. Oh, he went for £20. I thought when I got him for 33, oh, it was like a really good bit of business. He then went for £20 6 hours ago. That's crazy. However, they're the risks you got to take in Sorare. Like, it worked for me in the past with Jack Grealish. I bought Jack Grealish before he went on a good run for like way lower than he then went. I was hoping to get a good vibe with Julius Jr. because I wanted that Villarreal stack. But I've got to think long term. I want for the whole season ahead. I don't really want Villarreal for the Champions League as well. I don't know how far they're going to go in the Champions League. I want them for the league because I think against teams that aren't Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Atletico Madrid, they always have a chance of getting you a good score. And like I said, I love Pepe, Buchanan on the wings, and also their wing backs. I've got a classic Marino. Cardona plays on the other wing. They're such a wing-heavy attack team that I've got the right back in classic. I've got the left back now in season. I've got the left midfielder now, and I just need Pepe to finish this stack off. And I've got 5 Villarreal players. And you know what? I like Villarreal. I've got a soft spot for them. I've always liked them. I like that they play in yellow. I like the kits. They've always had fun players over the years. Over the years, I've got good memories of watching them in the Champions League. They've always been a fun team. And they've always been one of those teams that you kind of root for because they're kind of challenging the Barcelona and Real Madrid. So you always like root for those kind of teams. So, I've got good memories of Villarreal. And like I said, they just have a good stack. On their day, Buchanan, like if they play a team like Girona, if they play a team like Sevilla here, he can score against, he can bully worse teams basically. And that's what I want. Yes, they might not do well against Spurs, Atletico Madrid, but against other teams, he got 100 against Girona. He's not going to get 100 every week, but it just shows you they can bully the smaller teams. So I'm happy to back Villarreal. It's definitely an improvement on my Radu, on my the Aramburu guy from Sociedad. So I think now I can play. The annoying thing is this week it's a bit tricky because these guys might be rested after the Champions League. But going forward, Villarreal all the way. Then I'm going to go to Kudos. So these were the crafts. Kudos is a guy that I got in. So basically I've spent all my money now. I had like £30 in the bank last weekend. I won $20. I got some market credits from spinning the wheel a while ago. So I had about $20 in market credits to spend. So it's all gone now. You can see here my bank balance is down to £1.30. But I think I've spent it well. I'm happy to kind of not deposit any money into Sorare for a while, run with these cards for a while. I've also still got some cards I think I have value in that I can sell, like Boniface, like Radu. I want to get rid of Radu. Who else? I've got some cards here. David Brooks I'm trying to sell. Boniface for about 20, could be like £20. If he does really well at the weekend, Boniface, his debut, he came off the bench and got a assist. So if he does well at the weekend, I think, Boniface we could get some value from, could sell him, reinvest that later. And then I'm trying to sell Radu, the goalkeeper here. Radu, trying to get rid of him. Playing in-season La Liga goalkeeper, I think I can get some money from him. So I could then reinvest that money into the squad. But for now, I'm quite happy with it. Kudos is sort of the last big Premier League card I want to get in. And he fits in with my Spurs strategy. So he's got that collection bonus on him already. And I just think he's not had a good time lately, which is why his price has come down. I was looking at his price at £70-80 like a few weeks ago. He's come down to like £30 now. And I just think against Brighton have never kept a clean sheet all season. Yes, he's had a bit of a tricky spell lately. These two are international scores. Had a bit of a tricky spell here, but he was playing City, Bournemouth. They're tricky games. Started the season well. I've seen enough from him to think that he'll be the number one starting right winger for Spurs, and when they attack, and it's so hard to predict who's going to be the Spurs striker. Richarlison, Solanke, Tell, Muani, they got 4 options. You could see all 4 of those guys becoming the number one striker at Spurs. So I think it's safer with Kudos this year having a forward card to go for Kudos as your forward from Spurs. So that's who I've got in. Let's now look at my lineups for the coming weekend, where Kudos will be leading one of those Premier League lineups. Right then, ladies and gentlemen, here we go with my lineups for game week 11 in the wonderful world of Sorare. And as you can see here are 2 of my new Villarreal cards that I bought. And as you can see here, Cardona's 40% to play, Buchanan's 60% to play, which is really annoying because, I've just bought them. So I kind of want to play with them straight away. But if they're not guaranteed to start, I'm not going to risk them in La Liga in season, especially because I can build another lineup that I'll show you in La Liga in season. So I'm going to play these 2 boys in the championship with Santos defensive stack and Ferran Torres at 60%. So as you can see, this is a very gamble lineup. Maybe they all play, maybe Santos keep a clean sheet, maybe Torres starts and scores. It's a gamble lineup, but I'm not taking the championship as seriously as other lineups. So these are going to be here, building XP on my new Villarreal cards. And, I'm guessing they come off the bench if they don't start. It's an okay fixture against Osasuna. So, yeah, that's going to be my championship lineup. Premier League in season, we're going for hot streak number 3, and it's going to be really tricky. We need to hit 400. And what's really annoying about this set of fixtures in the Premier League is I was looking at all the Premier League fixtures and I was going, okay, before I bought Kudos, I was thinking, can I buy someone else from another team who's got a really good fixture this week to sort of make sure I hit the hot streak, basically? Is there a smasher out there that I can go out and get? And I was looking at the fixtures and everyone's got an away fixture. Like the bigger teams are either playing away. All of the teams playing the promoted teams are away. There was just like Liverpool are playing Arsenal, or Man City are playing Liverpool. Man City are playing Arsenal, so they kind of counter each other out. Liverpool have got a Merseyside derby. That's a tricky game. Chelsea away to Manchester United. Yeah, Man United haven't been great, but Chelsea are going to be tired after their Champions League game. Away at Man United, it's still an away game. I was just looking around at all my fixtures going, there's no card I could see. I spent £30 on Kudos. So I had like a £30 budget to bring someone in that I thought, who can I bring in for £30 for this 1 week? And there was just no one. Like Sunderland are playing Villa. So I'm going to be playing Watkins and Rodgers again. It feels crazy to be playing Watkins and Rodgers in my Division 1 best lineup. But like I said, the fixtures are so tricky. I just think you have to back Villa against Sunderland. Even though they've not been great form, even though they've never scored all season, hopefully they score this game. It is Sunderland. And I think the other game you have to kind of back is Forest. But I don't want to go for Forest in season because I've got Forest Classic cards. So what I've done here is I put the Forest goalkeeper in Matt Seld. I put Elliot Anderson here. And I'm covering Forest that way. So they've got a good fixture, but it's away at Burnley. And Forest, new manager, haven't been convincing lately. So there's no fixture I could convincingly go, that's a great fixture. The best one I could kind of go for is Spurs, because yes, they might be tired from Champions League, so there may be some rotation, but Brighton haven't been convincing. It's away, which makes it tricky, but Brighton haven't kept a clean sheet all season. Spurs have looked good defensively, so I feel like Spurs away at Brighton is the best fixture this weekend. Maybe Forest away at Burnley, and then maybe Villa away at Sunderland. So they're the fixtures I'm kind of backing heavily in my 2 best lineups. Watkins and Rodgers, don't let me down, please. Cole Palmer, a bit of a risk against Manchester United, but he scored in the last Premier League game coming off the bench, scored against Bayern Munich. He looks lively. He looks fresh again. And I feel like I've got a feeling Chelsea are going to be angry after that Bayern Munich defeat. They're going to take out that anger on Manchester United. And I'm quietly confident about Chelsea. I'm slightly worried about who plays. I'm expecting a few rests, but Cole Palmer, I don't think you can rest him. And even if he comes off the bench, like I said, he's angry. Chelsea are angry. They need to get a win in the league. They need to get a win. That's 2 games without a win now. Man United, wounded animal, could be a good chance. So captain Cole Palmer. Rodgers and Watkins here, and then Spurs defensive stack against Brighton. I can see them keeping a clean sheet away at Brighton. It's going to be tricky. It's an away fixture, but Spurs have looked good defensively. So that's my biggest hope of 400 points is this lineup. My second best hope of 400 points is this lineup where Kudos is going to be captain. Like I said, Brighton never kept a clean sheet. I would like a Xavi Simons, but Xavi Simons' price was like 50, 60 pounds, like double what I'm seeing for Kudos. So I took the gamble that Kudos is dipping form. I'm gambling on that basically. So Kudos captain with Palhinha. Palhinha didn't play in the Champions League. I think he came off the bench. So I'm hoping that means he plays in the league. Although I could easily see Bergwijn, Sarr, all getting games ahead of him. However, we've got to take a risk here. So Palhinha is a little bit of a risk. So is Caicedo because he hasn't been dropped all season. And it just makes you think there will be a week when Caicedo gets rested. I just think Manchester United away, probably not the best time to rest him. So I hope Caicedo plays. Also Cucurella, obviously hoping Cucurella plays. If they both play, I think there's chances for them to score well against Manchester United. And then Sells in goal, like I said, backing Forest away at Burnley. Hopefully, Ange gets his sort of team playing. And then the third team, which is kind of the third serious team, Pedro, captain against Manchester United for the same reason I'm captaining Cole Palmer. I think Chelsea will be angry. Pedro and Palmer should start. Even if they don't start, should come off the bench. 60% does concern me, but I just think, what's the alternative? Delap's injured. Pedro is fighting against Tyreek George, could play up front, but, away at Man United, it just doesn't feel like the game to play the kid Tyreek George. He could play someone like a false nine. He could play Palmer up front. He could play Pedro Neto up front. But Pedro Neto has been playing a lot of games lately as well. So he's also like a 40% chance to play. So it seems like none of Chelsea's attackers are 100% certain to play. So I've got to take a risk. And that's the risk. So I don't like that there's lots of risks here. But after Champions League, there's always going to be risks. Sanchez in goal. He should be fairly nailed on to start. I don't see him getting dropped. And then you've got Grealish, who's playing Liverpool away. Really tricky fixture. Elliot Anderson, nice fixture. But, again, who knows? Who knows what Forest are going to be like? And then Gabriel has got Manchester City at home. So tricky fixtures all round. I really wish this streak 3, the 400 target, had come last week when I had better fixtures. Or the next week. I've looked at the fixtures coming up in the coming weeks. And there's better fixtures for my cards. So I think it's going to be a real tough challenge to hit something from this week. We're going to need a bit of luck from somewhere. So let's hope we get that. Lineup 3 is a joke. Kirkes is down to 40%. Like I said earlier, though, Robertson surely can't play 2 games in like such a short period of time. So I do think he might play. Smith Rowe maybe plays. Evan Nielsen, captain against a tired Newcastle team. Newcastle playing in the Champions League on Thursday. And I just think that extra day of Champions League football for Newcastle maybe makes them a bit more tired for Sunday. I think if Newcastle had played on the Tuesday or even the Wednesday, I'd be a bit more confident about Newcastle. But now I think because they're playing on the Thursday against Barcelona, that's going to be a tricky game. They're going to be tired. Then they've got a tricky game away at Bournemouth. So I think if you've got Semenyo, if you've got Evan Nielsen, that's a good game. And then Dewsbury Hall here. Dean Henderson away at West Ham could be a nice game for Crystal Palace. So I think Crystal Palace defensively could get some joy at West Ham. That's why I've gone for Dean Henderson here. That is Premier League in season. La Liga in season. So we've gone for Luis Jr. hopefully putting that mistake against Spurs behind him. Strong performance against Osasuna in the league. I would have liked to play Cardona here, but Cardona, as you can see, was a 40% chance to play. So instead, I'm going to be playing Santiago Mourinho, my classic card, who's the right back, who's more of a chance to play. And a defensive stack here for Villarreal. Mariba in midfield, away at my mind went blank. Away at Rayo Vallecano. And he's been doing well lately. He's been doing well. Lots of 60s, which is what we want. So we just want a goal involvement on the occasional game. But, good scores all around from him so far. I do think he'll be in my second lineup most weeks once I've got my Villarreal stat. Once they're fully rested, when they're not coming back off a Champions League week. I think it will be a 5 Villarreal stack maybe. Or maybe Villarreal defense and midfield with Sociedad attack. But, we can't do that this week. So Mariba comes in. And then, Sociedad attack away at Betis. Not the best fixture, but you know, they could have some fun there, and they, you know, they're nailed on to play. So we've gone for kind of the 5 cards I had that are the most nailed on to play here, which is probably sensible. Then we go to Champion, where we're backing Monaco are playing Metz at home. So I've scattered my Monaco cards. I've got 4 Monaco cards here. I've got 1 Monaco card here. 60% chance to play. I don't quite like Minamino, but Minamino's been in great form. I think he scored in like his last 3 games in a row. So Minamino's got to start. Got to captain him, even though he's a bit of a risk here. Barcelona have got quite a nice game at home to Getafe, although they are coming off a Thursday Champions League game as well. So I'm fully expecting pain from Barcelona somewhere. So let's see here. But I can't, like we saw last week, even if Rafinha's on the bench, he can come off the bench and do well. So Barcelona, Monaco, Crystal Palace should do well. A lot of Forest cards here. Basically, all my Forest cards I think might play are playing here. I don't like Hudson-Odoi at 40%, but I'm overruling it. A little bit like Kirkes. Kirkes is a 40% chance to play, but I just think I've got to go against that because of what I said earlier. And Hudson-Odoi didn't start in the Carabao Cup. And, you know, I don't know why he wouldn't play against Burnley. And so if he does, even if he comes off the bench, I don't mind him coming off the bench against the tiring Burnley, 60 minutes in, his fresh legs. So, you know, I'm fairly confident about Hudson-Odoi here, even though he's at 40%. Wood, 60, Gibbs White, 70 again. I don't know why they're that low. They were rested in the Carabao Cup. Surely they're the number 1 guys at the club. And it's a good fixture. And then we're going to play Declan Rice and Sanchez, who have tricky fixtures, but, you know, they can get good scores even in tricky games. I'm backing 2 Arsenal guys here against City, Madueke and Eze. I think Arsenal could score against City, could get a couple of goals there. City don't have the tightest defense, but that'll be a fun game to watch. And I think, you know, Madueke has looked in good form lately. Eze, I fancy him. I fancy Arsenal again in that game. More Crystal Palace and Deportivo Alaves defensive stack here at home to Sevilla. Nice fixture if you're looking for a kind of budget La Liga team this weekend. Deportivo Alaves on their day can be solid at the back, and Sevilla are not the Sevilla they were a few years ago. So here's a fun lineup. Look, 6 Wolves cards. They're playing Leeds at home. If ever I'm going to play my Wolves cards, it's this week. So I thought, why not throw them all in? 6 Wolves cards, some of them at 60%, 70%, but we've not got any other Wolves cards to play. And then we're going to trust the captaincy with Moises Caicedo. So Moises Caicedo is leading the Wolves team. It's a strange look, but I don't feel confident in captaining any of the Wolves players. So let's see what happens there. Under 23, ignore these 2 lineups. These are kind of XP builders. This is my serious under 23 lineup where Destiny Udogie is the kind of only minutes risk. I'm toying between Destiny Udogie and Malo Gusto, but Malo Gusto played against Bayern Munich and hurt me last weekend. Fofana playing at right back. Who's to say Fofana doesn't play again at right back? So I'm going to go for Destiny Udogie because he's been playing quite a few more minutes for Spurs lately. He didn't play in the Champions League. Maybe he gets a game in the league. Also, if he doesn't play in the Champions, if he doesn't start, he seems to be like a fairly regular comes off the bench. So I'm happy to take the risk on him and then go for these guys who are fairly more certain for minutes. Esteval's a bit of a risk, but again, Chelsea might rest a few players after the Champions League, and I feel more confident playing Esteval here than in my Premier League in-season lineups where there's more at stake. So let's see how these guys do. Captain Fofana, a nice home fixture here. Stukas, Alvarez, and Sergi Dominguez. Big Sergi. Hopefully he can bounce back with a good score. Which means we've not played Sergi in All-Star like we usually do. Instead, we've gone for smashers in this lineup. Not worrying about the capped bonus here. Not the best fixture for Tigres away at Pumas. Not the best fixture for Cruz Azul playing Juarez. But these guys are all my smashers that I always go to in All-Star. These guys are a little bit more of a kind of gamble. The Barcelona defensive stack. Tigres double up here. Everton double up against Liverpool. That's obviously a risk. And then a Santos player. A Santos Laguna player is always a risk, but always a fun risk for a Santos Laguna fan. Then we've got Tigres players here. Chelsea defensive stack here against Man United away. Alvarez is a bit of a fitness risk, so he's a bit of a risk here, which is why they're all in All-Star. West Ham double up Again, that's why they're an all-star. Phil Foden, maybe he continues his good form. Phil Foden scored against last week in the Premier League, so maybe Foden's in good form now. Maybe gets a start, who knows, against Arsenal. Big game again, so let's see, if he can continue his good form. An Atlas defensive stack away at Mazatlan could be a fun pick, or could be Payne. And then Barcelona midfield always could be Payne. So those are my lineups for coming weekend, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for, if you've liked and subscribed, thank you for that in advance. Stay tuned. On Monday, we'll be joined by Kev for a live episode of Fantasy Football. So do join us for live for that. Otherwise, I'll see you next week for another Road to Sorare Boss episode. Peace.